Joining me now is Talk Business contributor Rex Nelson. He has the very popular blog, RexNelsonSouthernFried.com, works for the communications group here in Little Rock, Arkansas. Rex, welcome back to the program.
Roby, thanks for having me as always. I think maybe the last time I was here we were in a snowstorm and now we're in the heat of winter. What a change.
Heat of summer there.
Heat of summer, I mean, yeah, we were in the cold of winter then.
Yeah. Let's talk about the developments late Friday afternoon at the state capitol. Secure Arkansas, this grassroots organization trying to push for an illegal immigration measure, finds out that not only are they a few signatures short, they're about 10,000 signatures short of what they needed to even have their petitions reviewed. Tell me kind of what your reaction is to that difference. I can't recall in Arkansas political history something coming up that short that quickly.
Yeah, I don't know who was doing the counting for them. It really seems strange to me, like you said, that they would be that short 10,000. Usually when you put an initiative on the ballot, obviously, if you're going to go for it and you're going to put a lot of effort into it, you try to get 15 to 20,000 over because you know that a number are going to be thrown out on review. Because they're short, it's not even going to go to review now. But certainly I know that when I worked in the governor's office that we put, as you remember, the so-called chart plan for spending the tobacco settlement funds on the ballot. And that was a goal from day one. You wanted to have 10 or 15,000 more than you actually needed before you ever went to the Secretary of State's office.
With this determination that we learned on Friday that they don't have the number of signatures to even be considered, it means they're automatically disqualified, correct?
That is correct. It will not be on the ballot unless something that we're not aware of occurs. It will not be on the ballot in 2010. They'll have to come back if they want to try again and give it another shot in 2012.
Yeah, short of litigation.
Now we've seen a lot of litigation in the past when it comes to ballot issues. You and I will both remember a year when there were a number of casino gambling related issues that were supposed to be on the ballot and were also thrown out by the Arkansas Supreme Court very shortly before Election Day.
Put your good government hat on for a second for me and tell me, do you think that the process for getting a citizens initiative on the ballot, do you think it's too high of a threshold? Is it too difficult?
Not necessarily. I think you can send too many things to the ballot. I believe in a representative government, and I think that we elect people to the state legislature. We elect them to those 7 state constitutional offices to represent us, and not us deciding on every individual issue. I would not want to see Arkansas get into a California-style proposition government where you have numerous propositions every election, some of them dealing with very minute things in the state of California. So I think the balance is about right, frankly, with what we have in Arkansas now.
Let's talk about another political topic from this past week. Mitch McConnell, the Senate Minority Leader, comes to Arkansas to stump for Congressman John Boozman, the GOP nominee that's challenging incumbent Democrat Senator Blanche Lincoln. He was primarily here to raise money for Boozman, but they also held a press conference and he announced that he would put Boozman on the Agriculture Committee if Boozman is elected to Congress, which is the committee that Blanche Lincoln chairs. Yeah. They basically played right into the one primary strength that Blanche Lincoln has over them at this point in time.
Yeah, that seemed a little strange to me that they would even bring up the Agriculture Committee, because that's, like you said, one thing she can point to in this anti-incumbent year otherwise, that this is going to be good for Arkansas. I mean, we talked in past interviews about how that she really needed to pound that home and pound home the idea of how important agriculture is for Arkansas. So I think that was probably a little misstep there. It was primarily a fundraising event, and that's the mode that Congressman Boozman needs to be in right now, is a fundraising mode. I think people are kind of in the summer blahs period, if you will. They were worn out by the primary. They were worn out by the runoff. I don't think people will really start to focus in on the issues of this race till probably sometime after Labor Day, when we see those television ads crank up again. So it got a little media coverage, but I doubt many people, frankly, here in the middle of summer even noticed it.
And those television ads and radio ads are going to crank up quite a bit.
You better believe it.
This fall.
Yeah, if you're a television sales manager, you'll be very happy again in the fall, just as you were in the spring here in Arkansas.
How do you kind of see, now that some time has transpired and we're beyond the runoff period in the Democratic primary, the field is kind of set, if you want to say, What kind of messaging do you think Boozman takes into the fall? What kind of messaging do you think Lincoln takes into the fall?
I think Boozman takes the message, look, I'm not the incumbent. I'm an incumbent over in the House, sure, but I'm not the Senate incumbent, and I bring some fresh ideas and some difference, and I'm outside of the president's party. The president remains very unpopular here in Arkansas. I think those are his messages. I think Lincoln brings the message. I'm chairman of agriculture. I've developed some seniority now. I can actually bring things home to Arkansas, and you might philosophically disagree with earmarks and things like that, but it's being done, and we need to get our fair share in Arkansas. And I think you'll see, as she has been doing in past weeks, Senator Lincoln making a lot of grand announcements and making a lot of hay with that, the power of incumbency in the Senate during the rest of the summer.
All right, Rex, from politics to culture, let's talk about a blog post that you had recently on RexNelson.flv. You talked about how the state needs to do more to capitalize on its Johnny Cash roots. Kind of give our audience a little flair for what it was you were proposing in terms of an idea.
Great. I think we have a lot of famous Arkansans that we may not have capitalized on some of our people as well as other states had. A little off track, but I've said before, for instance, I think Fordyce should do more with Bear Bryant. You look at that Alabama fan base, and I can see people making the trip all the way to Arkansas if there was something nice for them to see. As far as Cash, I mean, he is a worldwide figure. You take figures worldwide that are known in the music business, and after Elvis and after Michael Jackson, Johnny Cash rates up there, and yet we never have publicized that well the fact he's an Arkansan. The house he lived in for many years at Dias up in Mississippi County still stands. The old administration building there, that was a Depression-era program that Franklin Roosevelt put into place, the Dice Colony. Johnny Cash's family was one of the families selected to move there. They lived down in Kingsland in South Arkansas. Right. They made the move to northeast Arkansas to Mississippi County in the 30s. Johnny Cash was very young at the time. He came of age there. He graduated from high school at Dice High School. It's right on Interstate 55, Roby. It's right between St. Louis and Memphis, both of which have thousands of tourists. We need to take advantage of that. And finally, there's some moves to do that. Arkansas State University, which has some wonderful historic sites they operate through the Delta of East Arkansas, has recently obtained a grant to start redoing the administration building. If we could redo not just the administration building, but the old theater, just the facade stands right now, but you do still have the facade, the Cash House itself, and maybe some of the other caches to teach people, here's what this Dice Colony was. Here's what Johnny Cash experienced as a child. I think it could be a godsend for that part of northeast Arkansas.
Well, I'll try to get you wound up about it. How about that?
Well, I just think we're missing out. And finally, we're seeing some moves through the work of Arkansas State, through the work of the State Natural and Cultural Resources Council and others to get things moving in Mississippi County.
Well, hopefully there'll be more big news on that and other fronts in the weeks to come. Rex Nelson, you can catch his blog at RexNelsonSouthernFried.com. Always good to have you with us. Thank you so much for your time.
Roby, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Back with more right after this.